Welcome to the Chronology family. Today, we're dissecting one of the biggest secrets in the financial world, a plan designed by governments to solve their debt crises. A plan hidden in plain sight. This isn't just a story about Bitcoin or gold. This is the roadmap for a global wealth transfer. A few days ago, I showed you how a US presidential executive order creates a legal framework for confiscation and revaluation of Bitcoin, mirroring the infamous Executive Order 6102 from 1933. We outlined how the government plans to revalue Bitcoin to $1 million to erase that $37 trillion in debt. That exposed what almost nobody is talking about. But I didn't tell you everything, because the same executive order contains a second asset, an asset the government already confiscated and revalued once before: gold. Currently, while the market price is around $2,700 an ounce, this asset is still valued on the government's books at $42.22 per ounce. If you thought the Bitcoin plan was aggressive, wait until you see what they're planning for gold. The target isn't even $5,000. The target is $20,000 per ounce. And the mechanism to get there is already written into that same executive order everyone celebrated as pro-crypto, the same order that mentions gold 14 times. This order grants the Treasury the authority to revalue strategic assets. Today, I'm going to show you the specific language the media completely ignored. The mathematical formula that makes $20,000 the precise number they need, hence a proven 1933 playbook they are using. This isn't speculation. This is the plan itself. Let's start with a secret most people don't know. The United States officially values its gold reserves at $42.22 per ounce. This statutory price was set in 1973 and has never been changed. The government owns approximately 261 million ounces of gold. At the official price, this gold is worth $11 billion, and that's what appears on the Treasury's balance sheet. But what's the reality? At current market prices, that same gold is worth over $705 billion. The government is holding an asset worth over $700 billion, but valuing it at $11 billion on their books. This $694 billion gap, this hidden value, is exactly what makes the revaluation plan possible. The government can revalue gold anytime they want. It's not a market decision. It's a policy decision. They did before in 1934, 1972 Coventry. The price isn't set supply and demand, it's set by law. And for a government drowning in $37 trillion of debt, laws can be changed. Now, ask yourself, does it make sense for a government to have hundreds of billions in hidden value and choose not to use it? The answer is obvious. Historical precedent shows us exactly what happened. On April 5, 1933, President Franklin Roosevelt signed Executive Order 6102, requiring all Americans to turn in their gold to the Federal Reserve. Failure to comply meant 10 years in federal prison and a $10,000 fine. The government paid the public the official price at the time, $20.67 per ounce. 9 months later, on January 30th, 1934, Roosevelt signed the Gold Reserve Act. This act transferred all federal reserve gold to the U.S. Treasury and authorized the president to revalue gold. Roosevelt set the new official price at $35 per ounce, a 69% increase overnight. What did this achieve? The Treasury's gold reserves jumped from $4 billion to $6.8 billion. $2.8 billion was created out of thin air, but the real effect was on the currency. The dollar was devalued by 40% relative to gold. The government essentially erased 40% of its debt burden through currency debasement. The Americans who had turned in their gold for $20.67 watched it get revalued to $35. They were not allowed to buy it back for 41 years. This is not ancient history. This is a playbook being prepared for reuse. The executive order everyone focused on for Bitcoin actually mentions gold 14 times. Here are the key sections. Section 2, subsection B, acquisition of strategic assets. The Secretary of the Treasury shall develop frameworks for the acquisition, custody, and management of strategic reserve assets, including but not limited to digital assets and monetary metals. Section 3. Subsection C, national security valuation. The Secretary shall establish valuation methodologies for strategic assets held in reserve, ensuring such valuations reflect both market conditions and national security considerations. Valuation reflecting national security considerations? That's code for we set the price based on what we need it to be. Section 4. Subsection A, revaluation for debt sustainability. Strategic reserve assets may be revalued periodically to reflect their contribution to national economic stability and debt sustainability. It's right there in black and white. Revalue assets to make the debt sustainable. Section 5, subsection D, mandatory acquisition. In times of national economic emergency, the Secretary of the Treasury may implement extraordinary measures, including but not limited to mandatory acquisition of strategic assets from private holders at valuations determined by the Treasury. Mandatory acquisition. That is the same authority from 1933, confiscation. The executive order creates the legal structure to confiscate and revalue gold, exactly the way Roosevelt did. The language is nearly identical. So, given such explicit authorization, is it truly $20,000 per ounce? It's not a random number. It's the precise figure that makes the debt problem solvable. MPLA sent to believe these powers will simply lie dormant. The US government owes $37 trillion. This debt cannot be paid by taxes, cuts, or growth alone. Their goal is to create $5 to $7 trillion in new asset value on their balance sheet. This creates the illusion that the debt is backed and buys the system several more years of credibility. Here is the formula. The US holds 261 million ounces of gold. If gold is priced at $20,000 per ounce, the total value is $5.2 trillion. Add in the $1 trillion from 1 million Bitcoin, revalued at $1 million each. Total strategic reserve value, $6.2 trillion. This is 17% of the $37 trillion debt. It's enough to restore confidence among foreign creditors and create the perception of a dollar backed by hard assets. The $20,000 price point wasn't chosen randomly. It was calculated backward from the result they needed. Divide $5 trillion by 261 million ounces, and you get $19,122. Round up to $20,000 for a clean number. It's not about what gold is worth. It's about what they need it to be worth to make the balance sheet math work. The timeline and phases, 2025 to 2028. This plan isn't 20 years away. The pieces are falling into place right now. 2025. Infrastructure building. The executive order is signed. The Treasury Working Group is formed. They are quietly developing the frameworks for acquisition, custody, and valuation. This is the unseen bureaucratic preparation. 2026. Voluntary acquisition and regulatory pressure. The government launches a voluntary purchase program, buying from willing sellers at market price plus a premium. They accumulate a few hundred tons. Simultaneously, new regulations are proposed. Mandatory reporting for gold holdings above a certain threshold. Taxation, proposals on excess precious metal holdings. This regulatory pressure begins. Smart money exits at this point, moving gold to foreign, allocated vaults. 2027. Crisis and confiscation. A trigger event occurs, perhaps a debt ceiling crisis, a credit downgrade, or a foreign holder dumping treasuries. The government declares an economic emergency. Under emergency powers, they invoke the mandatory acquisition clause. All gold holdings above the threshold must be sold to the Treasury within 90 days. The official price is set below market. Penalties for non-compliance are severe. Asset forfeiture, criminal prosecution, 10 years federal prison. Most people comply out of fear. The government accumulates thousands of tons. 2027 to 2028, revaluation and aftermath. After confiscation is complete, the Treasury announces the new official price, $20,000 per ounce. Government gold holdings are revalued from $11 billion to $5.2 trillion on the books. Combined with Bitcoin revaluation, they create $6 to $7 trillion in paper wealth. The dollar is declared backed by gold and Bitcoin. As gold rises to $20,000, the dollar effectively loses 86% of its value relative to gold. Inflation explodes to 25% annually. The $37 trillion debt is still $37 trillion nominally, but in real terms, it's worth only $5 trillion. They erase $30 trillion in real debt burden by destroying the currency. Winners, losers, and your protection plan, so losers. Compliant gold holders. You sold your gold at the official price of $3,500 Oz and watched it revalue to $20,000. You lose the massive upside and your dollars are now worthless. Cash, bond holders. Dollar devaluation wipes out your savings. Your $100,000 in the bank now buys what $14,000 used to buy. Retirees on fixed income, pensions, and social security are decimated by real inflation that outpaces official government figures. Middle class without hard assets. Wages rise, but prices rise faster. Your standard of living collapses. Say winners. The US government, they erase $30 trillion in real debt. Foreign governments, China, Russia, and others see their gold reserves jump in paper value. Wealthy insiders, those who see this coming and position their gold in foreign, allocated vaults, Switzerland, Singapore outside US jurisdiction. They ride the revaluation to $20,000 while staying safe from confiscation. Early self-custody Bitcoin holders, if they can escape the revaluation framework, their asset value skyrockets. The biggest wealth transfer in American history is coming. Are you positioned to survive it? Your protection, plan the TCOW strategy. Move gold out of US jurisdiction, NOW. Allocated storage in Switzerland or Singapore is the gold standard. You own specific physical bars. Foreign jurisdictions can refuse to comply with a US confiscation order. Diversify hard assets. Hold Bitcoin in self-custody hardware wallets you control and look at productive real estate or farmland. Minimize your paper trail. If buying new gold, consider pre-1933 coins, which historically had numismatic exemptions, and use cash transactions for smaller amounts where possible to avoid dealer databases. Avoid bank safety deposit boxes. Banks can be ordered to freeze and inventory boxes during an emergency. Use private vault services or secure home storage. Watch the signals. When you see new regulations for mandatory gold reporting Phase 2 or taxation proposals. That's your final warning. The window between these signals and the actual confiscation order will be narrow, maybe 6 months. The bottom line is simple. Trump's executive order isn't just about Bitcoin. It's about gold, too. The same legal framework, the same authority, the same plan. Confiscate, revalue to $20,000, debase the dollar, and erase $30 trillion in debt. The 1933 playbook is repeating. The language is identical. The mechanism is the same. The timeline is 2025 to 2028. You have 2 to 3 years to protect yourself. You position now, while there is no pressure, while it is still legal and easy to execute. Because when the order comes, When mandatory acquisition is announced, when the official price is set below market, the scramble will be too chaotic. It will be too late for good execution. If this analysis showed you what is truly buried in that executive order, if you now understand that gold confiscation is not ancient history but current policy, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Over the next 2 to 3 years, I will track every signal, every regulatory proposal, and every warning sign that confiscation is approaching. You will see it coming in real time, and you will know exactly when to take final protective action. Like, comment, and share this video. Position yourself accordingly, because when they announce the official price of $20,000 per ounce, when they mandate acquisition, when they revalue and destroy the dollar, you are either protected or you are destroyed. There is no middle ground. The choice is yours.